The park erupted in chaos as police officers shouted commands, their guns drawn and sirens blaring. On a nearby bench sat an old man, confused and trembling, as a massive K9 locked eyes on him, ready to attack. "Take him down," the handler yelled. The German Shepherd sprinted forward, every muscle tense, the crowd gasping in fear. But just as the dog leapt, something unbelievable happened. He stopped. Instead of biting, the K9 whimpered, tail lowering, and gently rested his head on the old man's lap. Silence fell. The man's hands shook as he whispered, voice cracking, "Rex, my partner." In that instant, every officer realized they weren't witnessing an arrest. They were watching a miracle reunion years in the making. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The park was quiet that morning, dew glistening on the grass, golden leaves drifting from the trees. Henry, a 78-year-old war veteran, sat alone on his usual bench, feeding crumbs to a few brave pigeons. His wrinkled hands trembled slightly, but his eyes still carried the steady calm of a soldier who had seen too much and said too little. This park was his peace, his small world untouched by time. Children played in the distance, laughter echoing faintly. Nearby, a group of police officers trained with their K9 units, the sharp whistles and firm commands breaking the morning stillness. Henry watched them with a faint smile, memories flickering of his own service days, when he had once trained and fought beside a loyal dog of his own. Then, suddenly, one of the K9s stopped mid-drill. A strong German Shepherd, alert, disciplined, powerful, had turned away from his handler. His gaze locked directly onto Henry, unmoving. The air grew still. Henry frowned slightly, unsure why the dog's eyes felt so familiar. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then the dog took a single cautious step forward, tail low, ears twitching, as if recognizing a ghost from another lifetime. Before Henry could understand what was happening, the German Shepherd broke formation. With startling speed, the dog sprinted across the park, kicking up dirt behind him. The officers shouted commands. "Rex, stop! Heel!" But he didn't listen. Panic rippled through the park. Mothers grabbed their children. Joggers froze mid-step. Henry rose slowly from the bench, confusion written on his weathered face. "Easy there, boy," he murmured, raising his trembling hands. The officers ran after the dog, shouting, "Sir, step back. Don't move." But Rex wasn't attacking. He was pacing, growling low, torn between instinct and emotion, his eyes locked on Henry. "Control your dog," one officer barked. The handler, Officer Daniels, clenched his jaw and gave the final command, "Attack." Gasps erupted as Rex lunged forward. Henry flinched, bracing for the bite. But it never came. Instead, the massive dog skidded to a stop just inches away, whimpering softly. Then, to everyone's shock, he stepped closer and gently pressed his head against Henry's chest. The park fell silent. Officer Daniels froze, his voice shaking. "That's impossible." Henry's breath caught as he whispered, tears filling his eyes. "Rex, is that you?" The dog whimpered again, a sound filled with recognition, love, and years of longing. Time seemed to stop. Henry's trembling hands hovered above the dog's head before finally resting on the familiar fur. The officers stood frozen, watching as the old man sank to his knees, tears streaming down his face. "Rex," he whispered again, his voice breaking. The name rolled off his tongue like a memory that never faded. A decade earlier, Henry had served as a military K9 handler overseas. Rex was his partner, young, fearless, and fiercely loyal. Together, they had saved lives, navigating war zones and rescuing soldiers trapped under fire. Their bond was more than soldier and dog, it was family. But during their final mission, everything changed. An explosion tore through their convoy. Henry was thrown clear, wounded and disoriented. When he woke in the hospital, Rex was gone. The report said his body was never found. Henry never stopped wondering. Now, as he stared into those same amber eyes, the scar on Rex's ear confirmed what his heart already knew. "You found me," Henry whispered. Rex whimpered softly, pressing closer, his tail wagging faintly. Officer Daniels glanced down at the dog's collar. "Sir," he said quietly, "this can't be possible." Rex was rescued from a military shelter years ago. Henry looked up, voice trembling. He was never just a soldier's dog. He was my partner. Despite the emotional reunion, protocol couldn't be ignored. The police chief stepped forward, trying to make sense of what had just happened. "We need to verify this," he said firmly. Officer Daniels hesitated, glancing at Henry. The old man's eyes were still locked on Rex, his hands trembling as if afraid to let go. "Please," Henry pleaded, "don't take him away. He remembers me. You saw it." But rules were rules. The officers gently led Rex back to the squad car for identification. The dog resisted at first, whining, turning his head toward Henry, refusing to break eye contact. Henry's heart sank as the car door closed. He sat back on the bench, hands clasped tightly, staring into the empty park. "I lost you once," he whispered. "Please, not again." Hours later, Officer Daniels sat at his desk reviewing old military records. A classified report caught his eye. A K-9 named Rex, once assigned to Sergeant Henry Miller, marked missing in action. The scar described matched perfectly. Daniels' pulse quickened. He ran a quick scan of the microchip number from his K-9 and froze. The data lined up. Moments later, police vehicles returned to the park. Henry stood as Rex leapt from the car, running full speed into his arms. The old man fell to his knees, sobbing with joy. Daniels removed his cap and whispered, "Sir, he never forgot you." Henry smiled through tears. "Neither did I, son. Neither did I." The story of Henry and Rex spread across the city within hours. News crews arrived at the park, their cameras capturing the tearful reunion between a forgotten soldier and his long-lost K-9 partner. People watching from their homes couldn't hold back their emotions. Even the toughest officers wiped their eyes as the footage replayed on every channel. A week later, the police department organized a special ceremony to honor the extraordinary bond between man and dog. The hall was filled with officers, veterans, and families, all standing in silence as Henry and Rex walked to the front. The chief stepped forward, voice solemn yet proud. "Today, we honor not just bravery, but love, a loyalty that time and war could not destroy." As the crowd applauded, Rex sat beside Henry, tail gently sweeping the floor. The chief pinned a medal on Henry's chest and another small one on Rex's harness. Cameras flashed as the old veteran knelt, hugging his partner tightly. Choking back tears, Henry spoke into the microphone. "War took everything from me, but this dog gave me back my reason to live." After the ceremony, Officer Daniels approached quietly. "Sir, he's yours now," he said with a smile. "He's retired, and he deserves to come home." Henry looked down at Rex and whispered, "Welcome home, soldier." Weeks passed, and life began to bloom again for Henry. His once empty apartment now echoed with the soft sounds of paws on the floor and gentle snores beside his bed. Rex followed him everywhere, to the park, the grocery store, even the quiet Veterans Memorial where Henry often sat to reflect. People recognized them instantly, smiling and waving as they passed. Rex had changed too. The disciplined K-9 who once obeyed every command now seemed freer, happier. He no longer needed orders. A simple glance from Henry was enough. Every morning, they walked together through the same park where fate had reunited them. Children ran up to pet Rex, and Henry would smile, saying, "He's not just a hero. He's family." One evening, as the sun dipped below the trees, Henry sat on the same old bench, Rex's head resting on his knee. "You saved me twice," he whispered softly. "Once in battle, and once in life." Rex lifted his gaze, tail thumping gently. The world around them faded into golden silence. Two soldiers, bound not by war, but by love, because sometimes the strongest battles are fought and won by the heart.